Now, how much is it worth to you? What's your price?
To call off the revolution? My life.
So The Trial of the Chicago 7 is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, and this film tells the story of 7 people on trial stemming from various charges surrounding the uprising at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois. So this film of The Trial of the Chicago 7 has kind of been in Hollywood development hell for many, many years now. This script has been kind of floating around for a long time, going from director to director, and it's eventually culminated in the writer of the film, Aaron Sorkin, who you'll know from writing many different scripts, such as Steve Jobs and The Social Network, has basically taken it upon himself to direct the film personally, as it's just been stuck into hell for that long. He's now taken it upon himself to direct the film, and this is now his second directorial feature, following on from 2017's Molly's Game, which was a film that I fairly enjoyed. So going into The Trial of Chicago 7, there was a lot of buzz surrounding it. There's a lot of big talk about this movie, you know, especially when it comes to the Oscars. There's a lot of really big hype sort of surrounding this film. I went into it with quite high expectations, and to say that I was pleased with the film would definitely be an understatement. I think the main talking point about this film is definitely the performances, and there's a lot of people to go through in this movie, and there's so many fantastic performances. I think everybody is really giving it their all in this movie, so I'm not going to go through each and every single one, but Sacha Baron Cohen was a real standout here. Of course, he is kind of... It's going to be interesting going into the Oscars this year, because when it comes to the acting categories this year, especially when it comes to The Trial of Chicago 7, I don't know how this movie's going to fare in the acting categories, given the fact that the cast is so large, and they have pretty equal screen time, so I don't know who's defined as the lead and who's defined as supporting in this movie, but I think that Sacha Baron Cohen has a really good chance of being lead in this film, because he is super strong in the film, and obviously we know Sacha Baron Cohen can do these incredibly strong comedic performances, but this is him doing something very different, and even though he is funny in this movie, like he has a lot of great lines and a lot of great moments, particularly him and Jeremy Strong, who's also fantastic in the film, but he really does stand out in the dramatic side of it too, and I think he really felt like this movie was a passion project for him. It kind of felt like he was really dedicated to telling the story, and he really stands out because of it. Also, Mark Rylance, really good in this movie. I could definitely see him getting a Best Supporting nomination. He's just absolutely on top of his game here, really strong, and just delivering again some really great moments that are also quite funny as well. And Yahya Abdul Mateen II, who's just continuing to rise in Hollywood at the moment, also does a great job in this movie as his character. I think he did a great job, considering that his character isn't a part of the Chicago 7 and he's still roped into this trial for completely unjust reasons. I think he did a really good job of portraying that passion behind the character. He was very dedicated and, again, very passionate, which I really enjoyed. The surprise for me among this cast, though, was Eddie Redmayne. I didn't expect to like Eddie Redmayne as much as I did in this movie. Eddie Redmayne is an actor that I've never really taken to. Just, it's the movies he does aren't typically my sort of thing, so therefore his performances don't particularly work too well for me. But here, in this film, it's really good. I think he delivers a really strong performance, especially because his accent's very different, his hair's very different, like his look's very different. He just kind of felt like transformed in this movie. I kind of didn't see Eddie Redmayne in this movie, which was very surprising. So he was kind of the big shock for me, and I could definitely see him potentially moving into that Oscars consideration too.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
The dialogue and the screenplay for this movie is a real standout as well. Of course, this is written by Aaron Sorkin, who has just written some incredible screenplays throughout the years, and this, you know, him taking on the director's chair as well to direct his own script, I think was very interesting. It was an interesting move, especially because when you look at this film dialogue-wise, you know, everyone loves Aaron Sorkin scripts, and it's fantastic here. It's so meaningful, yet very witty. It's very entertaining to listen to. It's just one of those things, especially because this movie is primarily a courtroom drama above all else. And the fact that this film, as a courtroom drama, is able to keep you on the edge of your seat and keep you engaged, keep you entertained all the way through is very impressive. And again, I think this film is not only witty and funny when it needs to be, but also very meaningful when it needs to be. So I think it's a very well balanced, very well written script. The editing was also a big standout for me in this movie as well. Editing isn't something that I usually pick up upon as much, but in this film, it really stood out to me because it was so fast-paced. This movie didn't really slow down at any real point, and it kept the pacing at this consistent rate, and it was really strong. And what I really liked about it was this film often intercuts real-life footage from this event and kind of cuts it into the movie, which usually is something I'm not a fan of. I don't really like that. It usually takes me out of the movie, like when BlacKkKlansman did it, which is a movie I love. I was completely taken out of the movie. I don't really like it when movies do that, but in this film, it's done so well and it's edited so well that it kind of felt very seamless, especially because usually when those scenes are edited in, it's usually intercut with real camera footage of you know, the Chicago 7 and the movie actually kind of reenacting those moments, kind of replicating those moments. So that's what I mean. It feels so seamless going into those moments. So for me, the real life footage really worked for me, and it really helped boost up the editing. And as I said before, this is a very highly entertaining courtroom drama. Courtroom dramas can be difficult to make entertaining, and I think the reason why this movie succeeds so well is because this movie is very, very accessible. I think the movie is very, very inclusive in that way. This film doesn't throw around a bunch of terminology. This movie doesn't, you know, beat you over the head with, you know, legal talk. It's not really that kind of movie. It's just very much this very entertaining courtroom drama that you can very much understand everything that's going on. And as someone who doesn't understand legal systems and anything like that, I very much appreciated that. So I think the movie is very accessible, and therefore I think anybody could watch this movie and enjoy it and easily follow along with those courtroom scenes, despite some other films out there that might take a slightly different route. I like that the Chicago 7 kind of went down this very accessible route because it made it, especially for me, very easy to understand and very easy to watch. And as I said, this movie has fantastic pacing. It's just never boring. This movie never slows down. It's just, you know, for a 2-hour film, 2-hour 10-minute film, this really doesn't have a single boring moment in it. Like, every scene is entertaining. Every scene is a slapper, and I really appreciate that because, again, a film like this, particularly in a courtroom drama where most of the scenes do take place in a courtroom, could feel a bit slow and a bit repetitive, but this movie doesn't. It just completely keeps you there, keeps you engaged, and keeps you invested in this story and in these characters, and the way the movie ends is just absolutely fantastic. I loved just every scene in this movie. Like, every single scene was great, and not a single scene was I bored. Overall, I loved The Trial of the Chicago 7. I thought this film was so fantastic, and I just absolutely adored every scene in it. It was just so much fun to watch. It was so entertaining. All the cast members just delivered these top-notch performances, and I really enjoyed everything that the story was telling me, because I hadn't really heard of this story much before, apart from really the movie coming out. I hadn't really heard of the story, so to really get fed this story in such an entertaining way with such incredible performances was a true treat. And again, an Aaron Sorkin script is always entertaining and always keeps you there, and that's exactly what this movie did. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Trial of the Chicago 7 a 5 out of 5. So have you guys seen The Trial of the Chicago 7 yet? If you haven't, make sure you go check it out. It's on Netflix right now. And if you have, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm very interested to see what you felt about the movie. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie-related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.